Hi, my name is Rodrigo Canito. I'm an immigration attorney practicing here in the Bay Area in California. I normally do videos about immigration and getting legal status here in the United States. So if those topics interest you, feel free to subscribe. So today I want to talk to you about a very important topic, a very serious topic, and that is of someone who's an immigrant, who's married to a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident and has become abused by that U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. And the question is, if someone's in that situation, what can they do about it? Do they have to stay in that marriage? Can they apply for an immigration benefit and get out of that situation? So the answer is maybe, and it depends on a couple different factors. And I really want to focus on the husband-wife scenario or the spouse scenario. I will address, however, that immigrant children who are the victims of abuse by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident parent may also find protection in that situation. Also, a parent who is the victim of abuse by their adult son or daughter, a U.S. citizen son or daughter, may also find protection as well. But I do want to focus on the spouse for today. Okay, so what are the requirements? If I want to get legal status, I've been abused by my husband or my wife, what can I do? How do I qualify? So the first thing is you must have married that person. Okay, that's the first requirement. You must have married that person. The second thing is, what if you've already divorced? Is it too late? Can I not apply for a green card or for this protection under the Violence Against Women Act? That's where this protection falls under. Well, it depends how long you've been divorced. If you've been divorced for over 2 years, then it's too late. You cannot apply for this protection. The same is if that person has died. If the person who abused you has died and more than 2 years have passed, then you cannot apply for this protection. So it's really important that if you have divorced that person, keep in mind the time limits of when you can apply for this type of protection. Also, let's look at the abuse itself. So there's different types of abuse, right? Physical abuse might be one we all think of. Someone getting punched, kicked, hit with something that would probably qualify as enough abuse. But abuse is not limited to just physical violence. It could be mental abuse, right? Someone telling you, I'm going to call ICE and have you deported if you leave me. That could be abuse. Someone limiting your ability to leave your home, not letting you see your friends or family, that could be abuse. Or threatening your children or other family members if you don't do what they want, that could definitely be abuse. And I want to emphasize, you do not, it's not a requirement that you have gone to the police. So you don't need a police report to demonstrate that this person has abused you. Although that would be very helpful, it would be great because it would be documented. It's not a requirement, okay, that you have gone to the police to report the abuse. All right. Another thing that could help you in this particular type of case is if your child has been abused by that U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse. Okay, so if your child has been abused, that may help you qualify for this type of protection. Although, of course, it's awful. I'm just focused on what can actually get you to qualify for this protection. Another factor they look at is to see if your marriage was legitimate, in the sense that did you enter this marriage for legal status in the future, or did you sincerely want to be with this person, right? Did you want to fall in love? Did you fall in love with them? Did you want to have a life together? And they're going to try to verify this, right? So how do you verify that? Well, you'd show it perhaps if you had a wedding with your family and friends. Obviously, you could show pictures of that wedding. If you guys have gone to different places together, social events, amusement parks, if you have pictures together, that could definitely help show that it was a legitimate marriage when you entered it. And there's all kinds of evidence that you can imagine to show this. You can also show or submit a declaration. In fact, you should definitely submit a declaration in this application. And that you can explain, how the marriage was legitimate as well. Friends or family can also write letters of support showing that the marriage was legitimate when it started. Okay. All right. After that, another requirement is you have to have lived together. You definitely have to have lived together for a time. So that's one of the requirements. Another thing they look at is your good moral character, and they'll focus on the last 3 years before you submit your application. So what's good moral character? It's a vague term, right? But good moral character relates to if you have past immigration violations. They're going to look at that. If you definitely have crimes, serious crimes, that could show you do not have good moral character. And you're going to need to submit evidence of your good moral character for the last 3 years. I have actually submitted reports from local police stations indicating that the cities that person has lived in for the last 3 years, there's been no issues. They've had no arrests or anything like that. So you definitely need to show you have good moral character. One of the great things about this form of relief, if you qualify too, is even if you enter the United States without inspection, maybe you entered the United States to the Canada-US border or the Mexico-US border and no one saw you, you could still try to get your green card through this process. Now, normally, someone applying for a green card through a relative needs to show that they entered with inspection or entered through what's called parole if they want to do the process here in the United States. But if you can get this form of relief, you can actually overcome that issue. Okay, so you can, even if you entered without being inspected, you can still qualify for this protection and qualify for a green card here in the United States. All right. So just wanted to share a brief overview of how the VAWA process works, what you need to show, and who could qualify. And if you know of someone that could benefit from this, feel free to share this video. Thank you so much for watching.